Greetings sci-fi fans and welcome back to another episode of 200 Years of Human Sci-Fi. This is episode #4 continuing our exciting time travel series. In today's video, I'm thrilled to explore the unique time travel rules behind the classic Terminator franchise. This series puts forth a temporal concept called the Oedipus time loop, which is downright twisty. Essentially, it states that the future is unchangeable. Any attempt to alter the future will in fact play a part in shaping that very same future. Wrap your heads around that one. This creates a closed loop where past and future influence each other in an endless cycle, imbuing a heavy sense of destiny. To see this radical time travel notion in action, let me walk you through the captivating events of the Terminator step by step. Believe me when I say this temporal tale will bend your mind. In the year 1997, a computer system called Skynet becomes self-aware and initiates a nuclear war to wipe out humanity. Missiles are launched at Russia, who retaliates, devastating the planet. Over 3 billion lives are lost. The survivors unite to fight back against the machines under the leadership of John Connor. Under his command, the resistance turns the tide against Skynet's robotic killers. Just as victory seems within reach, Skynet makes a last-ditch effort by inventing time travel technology. Now in a desperate move to change the future, Skynet sends an advanced Terminator robot back to 1984 to kill John Connor's mother Sarah, before she can give birth to mankind's savior. So that covers the initial background, Skynet triggering Judgment Day and nuking civilization, then getting cornered by John Connor's human resistance before firing up the time machine as a Hail Mary to alter the past. This sets up the fatal showdown over the life of Sarah Connor that kicks off the classic original film. With Skynet's back against the wall in 2029, the machines take drastic steps. They send an advanced robotic assassin known as the Terminator back to 1984 Los Angeles on a deadly mission. This emotionless cyborg killer is a T-800 model 101, with a hulking metal endoskeleton concealed by living tissue that makes it appear human on the outside. And lurking beneath the disguise is good old Governor Schwarzenegger. The Terminator arrives in the past, utterly focused on its objective to terminate Sarah Connor before she gives birth to mankind's last hope. It methodically begins seeking out young women listed as Sarah Connor in the phone book, eliminating them one after another in cold blood. Once John Connor realizes Skynet has sent a Terminator back to kill his mother, he makes a move to counteract this. In 2029, John selects his most trusted lieutenant, Kyle Reese, for a special mission: to travel back and save Sarah Connor. Though initially reluctant to leave John's side, Kyle volunteers out of devotion for a woman he has never met but grown to love through stories and photos. To prepare, he studies maps and police records about the Terminator's 1984 killing spree. Just before Kyle time jumps, John gives him a photo of Sarah for identification in the past. This comes full circle when Kyle later gives this same Polaroid to a young Sarah, which John will one day see, closing the fateful time loop. Arriving naked and unarmed in 1984 Los Angeles, Kyle overcomes a number of obstacles while tracking down Sarah just in time to rescue her from the Terminator at the nightclub Tech Noir. And so finally, the brave but underdog human soldier comes face to face with the futuristic robotic killer. In a brilliant twist of fate, the soldier sent back in time to protect Sarah winds up becoming much more: the father of the future resistance leader John Connor himself. After learning that robots have come from a nightmarish future ruled by AI to alter the past, Sarah teams up with Kyle Reese, the brave soldier sent back in time by her future son John to protect her at all costs. And so begins a tenacious game of cat and mouse, with the relentless Terminator constantly on Sarah's heels, as she and Kyle attempt to evade their unstoppable adversary. The battle for the fate of the future is on. While on the run from the relentless Terminator together, Sarah and Kyle start to fall for one another. In a tender moment of passion, they conceive John, unknowingly setting in motion the events that lead to Kyle being volunteered to protect Sarah in the first place. So in an astonishing temporal loop, John Connor is his own father. By sending Kyle back, John inadvertently ensures his own existence. This clever paradox perfectly embodies the unique time travel concept of this franchise: the future influencing the past, which loops back around to shape the future. When a dying Kyle professes to Sarah his knowledge and love of John based on Connor's leadership in Kyle's future, Sarah gains perspective and strength to carry on and prepare her unborn son for the fight ahead. The stage is now set for John thanks to the closed loop, seeing his own father die before being born, already aware of the hardships he'll later endure. Mind blown yet? Buckle up, because the knot only gets more tangled in the sequel. In Terminator 2, the fight for the future continues as an advanced T-1000 Terminator is sent back to 1995 to kill young John Connor. This time it is a teenage John that is targeted, already showing the early leadership abilities and defiance that will one day turn him into the legendary icon. To combat this technological marvel made of shape-shifting liquid metal, John's future self reprograms and sends back the original T-800 model, known affectionately as Uncle Bob. After rescuing John from the T-1000's initial attempts, the trio embark on Sarah Connor's dangerous idea to cut the snake's head off once and for all. They set out to assassinate the man most directly responsible for Skynet's creation, Miles Bennett Dyson, a top researcher at Cyberdyne Systems. In a dramatic sequence, Sarah confronts Dyson and prepares to execute him, but cannot pull the trigger on an innocent man. It is here John's innate leadership shines through, convincing his mother there is another way. Together, our heroes set out to storm Cyberdyne Systems headquarters to destroy every last piece of Skynet and the Terminators. This is their last chance to kill Skynet in its crib. The discovery of the advanced T-800 ARM and CPU chip in the Cyberdyne lab reinforces the ironic tragedy underlying the Terminator storyline. The very artifacts that can give birth to Skynet are sent back from an apocalyptic future trying to prevent Skynet. When Sarah Connor reflects that there's no fate but what we make for ourselves, the T-800 counters by showing her the parts. No, this is what they make of it. The Terminator acknowledges that the time loop exists despite the character's efforts to break it. In another Oedipal twist, here Cyberdyne's attempt to use future technology to control humanity's fate results directly in the dystopian future they sought to avoid. The more both man and machine struggle against their destiny, the more tightly time constricts, ensuring history holds its course. Sarah decides there is only one way out of the loop, to destroy the Cyberdyne lab's ARM and chip. After an intense battle with the T-1000 at the steel mill, the T-800 manages to blast the advanced Terminator into a vat of molten steel, finally destroying it for good. John then tosses the pivotal ARM and chip remnants into the steel as well. With pangs of sadness, Sarah pays respect to the cybernetic organism that protected them. But the T-800 reminds her that as long as his technology exists, Judgment Day remains a threat to restart the time loop paradox again. The T-800 solemnly warns her that he too must be eliminated, his own technology making him a threat should he remain. And so the merciless agents of time claim their final victim, taking the T-800 into the molten steel along with Skynet's hopes for AI supremacy. Checkmate. Fate wins again. Pressing the trauma deeper for John and Sarah, the machine they had bonded with gives them a final thumbs up before sacrificing itself into the scorching metal. With Skynet apparently erased and all future technology destroyed, it seems they have finally altered the future. The closing scene shows Sarah as an elderly grandmother in a changed world, musing about whether humanity can truly defeat the drive to destroy itself. Ominously, the franchise hints that no matter how hard one struggles against destiny, the time loop may yet continue, with Skynet returning online in 2029. But for now at least, the nightmare seems over thanks to the heroes that challenged fate, and their guardian known as the Terminator. As the credits roll on these iconic sci-fi thrillers, the underlying irony and tragedy becomes apparent upon reflection. The time loop paradoxes form an inescapable destiny for the characters, akin to the Oedipal tragic loop. John Connor, the prophesized human savior, only exists because Skynet tried eliminating him in the past. He was never meant to win the war in the future, but to spawn it in the first place. Likewise, Skynet and its apocalyptic future result directly from the attempts in the past to prevent it. The technology to create it was only possible due to pieces that cycled back from its own genocidal future actions. Neither side can change their fate, only cement it, as past and future intertwine to fulfill the timesphere's looping agenda. Cause and effect intermingle as events spiral back to the inevitable Judgment Day. So perhaps when Kyle tells Sarah there is no fate but what we make, he describes not free will but predestination. Fate made them long ago, and each struggles in vain as players against the unchangeable script of destiny, an endless temporal Mobius strip. The Terminator saga shows that once a time loop forms, escape is illusory no matter how hard one fights. The endless chess game has but one outcome: checkmate to time. And that's our breakdown of the twisted time travel in the first two Terminator movies. As you can see, this Oedipus time sphere creates strange paradoxes. Like Kyle Reese being sent back to become John Connor's own father. Makes your head spin, doesn't it? In our next video, we'll be looking at a sci-fi world where there is no concept of time at all. Can you even imagine that? Be sure to smash that subscribe button to unlock more temporal mysteries in the weeks ahead. Now over to you. Which was your favorite piece of time-twisting tech from this iconic sci-fi franchise? Let me know in the comments section down below.